Women are machines for suffering. That's not a very nice thing to say. If an actor or a singer said this, they would be cancelled in a heartbeat, no doubt about that. It would be astonishing to find that anyone has such a mindset. And yet, this is what Pablo Picasso, the famous Spanish artist who is considered to be the greatest of our time, said it to his wife, Françoise Gillot. Not only that, he also said, "For me, there are only two kinds of women, goddesses and doormats." Anyone with basic understanding and intelligence would call that statement problematic. But why am I talking about all these things about Picasso? Isn't this channel about paintings? Well, Artsapien is focused on everything about art, and we cannot think of art without the mention of Mr. Picasso. This is a series that I'll be doing where I discuss all the problematic things said or done by famous artists. I already made one video about Salvador Dali. You can watch that after you're done with this one. But unlike Dali, who was known to be an all-round menace, from kicking homeless people because he found them disgusting, to abusing animals for a quirky photo shoot, Picasso was more focused when it came to being problematic. I'm not making an expose here, or bringing something exclusive. Picasso is famous for being so infamous, and so many people are aware of his eccentric nature. In this video, I'll be categorizing all the wrong things he has said or done, and almost all the things involve his love interests. From deliberately sabotaging his ex-wife's painting auctions to make sure she fails, to allegedly mentally torturing his ex-wife leading to her, doing this. You will find everything you need to know about Picasso's personal life. Before we get started, let me get something important clear so that we're all on the same team. The goal of this video is not to tarnish the reputation of Picasso. This small video on his small channel cannot do that. So if he is your favorite artist, don't get your pitchforks out. You can still appreciate his artworks and all the impact he has created for the movement, and also say that his behavior towards women who loved him was wrong. Secondly, all the things that I'm saying here are not accusations. Picasso did not come into my home, throw my lunch and call me ugly. Everything in this video is publicly available information, and I checked everything with the proper source. There were a lot of things that people claimed he said, like whenever I change wives, I should burn the last one. I could not find a reliable source for this, so it is very likely made up. The reason why I'm doing this is because a lot of people were quite upset that I made a video saying that Dali was a bad person, even though all the things I said were already present on the internet. Okay, I'm just going off on a tangent. In short, it's not binary. You can like someone's art and say that he or she was not a decent person for doing, well, indecent things. Wow, this disclaimer was just as long as Pablo Picasso's full name. Don't believe me? Here, take a look at it. Let's start with a painting that you must be familiar with, La Demoiselle Avignon, one of his most famous paintings. Heck, it is one of the most recognizable artworks in the world. It was a breakthrough piece that pushed the Cubism movement ahead and allowed Picasso to break the mold of Western art style, bringing something new for the exhibitions. All good, what's the issue with that? Well, the issue is that Picasso never really acknowledged how important African and Iberian masks and sculptures were for his inspiration. His visits to Parisian museums gave him exposure to this exotic style. But despite African masks being the progenitor of his iconic style, he considered them to be primitive. That's a corrosive and colonial lens to look at something that holds immense cultural importance for the people of Africa. Fine, so what? He did not officially credit the source of his inspiration in a respectful way. Does that make him a bad person? Maybe he forgot. And that's fine. At least he did not steal or copy anything. You know what? That is true. And there's no doubt that Picasso has created some of the most unique artworks that I have ever laid my eyes on. Fun fact, Picasso made a total of 13,500 paintings and 34,000 illustrations in 78 years of his career. If you calculate the numbers, he made almost 2 paintings or illustrations every day for 78 years straight. And I'm not even considering the 300 sculptures and 100,000 prints he did. Granted, most of these paintings were just simple illustrations, but it shows how he dedicated his life just to art. That's a good thing. The way he did that was really bad. For starters, he needed a muse so that he could paint. So what? Every artist needs one. The problem was that he was a serial philanderer, never really caring for the women who fell in love with him or married him. Let's start with the first muse, Fernande Olivier, a 19-year-old girl whom Picasso would control to scary degrees. It's not just, I don't want you to talk to this person. Picasso would lock her in their apartment when he went out. He wouldn't even let her model or socialize with anyone without his presence. The worst part, He did not even care for her after some time. He belittled Olivia's attempt at making art, and then finally he left her without any material support. Why did he leave her? Because he found his next muse. And by the way, 20 years later, when Olivier wrote a memoir, Picasso tried everything in his power, even legal threats, to stop it from being published. This is a trend that you'll see coming back again. Then there were 3 women who came into his life. Eva Goul, who died of tuberculosis. During the time Eva was dying, Picasso had an affair with Emilienne Geslot. At the same time, he was also involved in a secret affair with Gabrielle Lespinasse. Oh, by the way, if I have mispronounced these names, please forgive me because I'm trying my best out here. Some evidence suggests that he also wanted to marry her, but she said no, probably for the better. Now here's a shocker. When Picasso met a woman named Irene Legoux, he was madly in love with her. Not the good kind of madly. Apparently, he had his friend kidnap Irene and take her to his villa in the suburbs of Paris. But since he did not lock the gates properly, she managed to escape. But she returned a week later. He even made a painting for her named The Lovers. Well, the name of the painting is sweet. The how you guys met story of these lovers would be more fitting for a crime thriller than a love story. Now we are getting to the meat and potatoes. Picasso met a Russian ballerina named Olga Koklova, and like clockwork, he fell for her. He managed to woo her and she became his first wife. And oh boy, it was all downhill from there. After just 3 years, Pablo had run out of the mad love that he had for his wife. A few years later, Picasso fell for another girl and their relationship was open. He even took this new girl to parties instead of his wife. Olga filed for a divorce and under French law, he had to divide his estate equally, and that Mr. Picasso could not do. So they remained married until Olga's death in 1955. You think this was problematic? Wait till you hear about the girl with whom Picasso cheated on Olga. In 1927, Picasso met a girl named Mary Therese Walter. At the time, he was 46 years old, while Mary was just 17. There's a 30-year age gap, but I won't judge him too much for that because the age of consent in Spain was just 12 in the 1920s. So he could have done much worse. I'm just saying. As with all his relationships, things started off well but soon took the wrong turn. Picasso was obviously the powerful one in this relationship, controlling every aspect of Mary's life. It is alleged that the emotional trauma was so sharp that she ended up doing this to herself. If you think that was bad, wait till you hear this. While he was with Mary, he took a liking to a photographer named Dora Maar. Seeing this romantic affair, Mary became depressed and jealous, as any normal person would. So how did Picasso handle that? Well, he literally asked both the ladies to fight for him while he made a painting. Imagine what these two ladies must have felt. And to add a pinch of salt to the open wound, he reportedly called this incident as one of his choicest memories. It does not matter how well someone can paint or how creative they can get. There is no excuse for behavior like this, even though society in Andalusia was quite misogynist back then. The famous painting, The Weeping Woman, is based on Dora Maar and her poor condition while she was with Picasso. It is reported that Picasso got physically abusive with her as well. That explains why every portrait of her made by him shows a woman crying or in distress. According to Françoise Gillot, another woman who is about to make an appearance here, Picasso had this to say about Maar. For me, she's the weeping woman. For years I've painted her in tortured forms, not through sadism and not with pleasure either, just obeying a vision that forced itself on me. Yes, Mr. Picasso, that comment really helped the situation. When someone asked Maar about the portrayal of her as the weeping woman by Picasso, she said, "All portraits of me are lies, they're Picasso's, not one is Dora Maar." Now let's come to Françoise Gillot, the unfortunate lover of Picasso who was, thankfully, the most vocal about all the things she had to suffer. By the way, when Picasso met her, she was 21 and he was 61. But unlike other women who stayed quiet, Gillot wasn't ready to just take the inhuman behavior. Here's something she said about her relationship with Picasso. "He did not know me well at all. I'm very secretive. I smile and I'm polite. But that doesn't mean that I'm in agreement or that I will do as I said I would do. It's just a screen. He thought I would react like all his other women. That was completely wrong opinion. I had other ideas. I did not put my narcissism in being represented by him. I couldn't care less." She never married Picasso but had 2 kids with him. As usual, they separated after he became involved with other muses, with the age gap between the two going over 50 years. Gillot suffered from frequent domestic abuse. Her biographer mentioned that Picasso would destroy her possessions, including letters from Henri Matisse. Since Gillot was also an artist, Picasso used all of his connections to ensure that galleries don't display her work or even invite her. 11 years later, Gillot wrote Life with Picasso. In classic Picasso fashion, he did everything to stop its publication but failed. However, as a retaliation, he decided to never see his 2 kids he had with Gillot again. Thankfully, the book sold quite well and all the profits went to help the 2 kids file a case so that they could become Picasso's legal heirs. Finally, we come to Jacqueline Roque, who became the second unfortunate wife of Picasso. There's not much information about what went on in their relationship, but by looking at the poor track record, we can safely say that it wasn't all hearts and rainbows. Oh, by the way, Roque also did this, and many people believe that it was all due to the traumatic years she spent with the painter. Should one separate the art from the artist? That's a question that inevitably results in subjective answers. Some people are okay with the artists while others actively avoid them once they get to know all the murky stuff. How should you see Picasso after watching this video? Well, that's totally on you. You're an adult and you can make that decision. If you find Picasso's work inspiring, well, that's great. Just don't get inspired by his personal ways of exploiting people in the name of love because, no matter how you frame it, it is still exploitation. And that was all about the video. Till we meet next time, have a great day ahead.